You see them all the time. Every time you walk by a television when it's off. Every car window when it's darkened. A microwave oven. And any glossy surface. A mass of water when it's still. The edge of a knife. Or in another person's eye. You even see your own eyes staring back at you in your own spectacles sometimes. We see them all the time. We are never truly alone. They are always with you. And you never even know. Except when you see them. In glances. You see them when you're brushing your teeth. Doing your hair. Shaving. Adjusting your clothing. Or any task where you have to look at yourself. I'm talking about reflections. It's a common thing. It's a necessity. There's no magical mystery as to how they're created. It's common crafting and light refraction. Let me ask this though. You don't have to answer me. I probably won't even be here after this. Have you ever seen your reflection? But for a fraction of a second, you don't recognize it? Or something seems different, but you can't tell what it is? My name is Drake Taylor. I'm your average 21-year-old goth. Always had an interest in the occult and in science fiction as well. I believe in parallel worlds, the power of witchcraft when done correctly, spirits, and aliens. I eat up anything paranormal. I love it. It's so much better than the norm. Normal is boring. You grow up, you work, then you die. If I were convinced normalcy was all there was, I would have preferred death. That was my outlook on the whole damn thing. It was. But now I almost wish it were so. Normal wouldn't be too bad, knowing what I know. You see, it all started when I was left by my girlfriend because of a maybe. And I began having so much difficulty in my love life that it made me a little bit crazy, I'd have to admit. One day, during all of this emotional turmoil, when I was doing my hair in the mirror on my dresser, it was angled so it was pointing at the mirror on my wall. From time to time, as I shifted sides, I would catch a glance at myself from the back. I eventually fully noticed this, so I took a rare opportunity to see my full back of myself. I remember thinking, damn, that doesn't look half bad at all. Why am I always such a masochist? Then I remember thinking, also, if I look like that, then why am I always struggling so hard in love? But anyways, I carried on as usual and went about my day. I made sure to leave the mirrors facing each other so I could look at my back anytime I liked. As time went on, I began obsessing over my reflection a bit, becoming rather sort of a narcissist. It wasn't that I was in love with myself, hell no, that's just weird. More like I was intrigued with myself, staring back at me. What is hidden behind those very old and very sad eyes? My eyes. Are those my eyes? Are those even my own eyes? It was still me, I know it. The image hadn't changed at all, but I swear for a moment, I couldn't tell who I was looking at in that damn mirror for the life of me. That thing, it stood there, motionless, as I was, with no independent motion at all. It did what I did, or rather, I suspect that it mimicked me perfectly. I shook myself out of it and I took a few cleansing breaths and I grabbed my athame from beside my bed and I left the room. I began holding the knife from time to time throughout the day for a few moments before I slept at night. You should already know to whence this is going though. No matter the path of motion you choose, there is no escaping one's own self. I began avoiding my dual mirrors in my bedroom as much as possible. I began doing things I needed a mirror for in my bathroom with the door open and the lights on. Eventually, though, I would catch those damn ancient eyes full of pain and torment and begin to face the familiar intrigue as before. I have become a full-blown narcissist now. And it's getting worse. And now, since then, and as my love life keeps becoming more hectic, I'm also becoming a sociopath as well. This is so very dangerous, but I cannot stand not knowing what is behind those aged, well beyond the years, darkened, agonizingly contorted eyes of misery. I cannot stand not knowing also what is inside the mind who bears those eyes. I've studied my craft, and I've obtained an ancient witchboard. I have reflected and meditated my energy onto the mirror. I've already placed my hands and face to the glass, and felt the solid become fluid. I'm ready to take the final step now. I'm writing this here as I wait for the witching hour tonight. I will place the altar in front of my mirror and the witchboard onto the altar with the 4 candles, and I will sit face to face with that thing. It will speak to me. It will tell me what I need to know. What I must know, or I'll die trying.
"Where the fuck is Drake?" I shouted at the receptionist behind the desk. I was furious. I'd just gotten word that my friend Drake Taylor was found in a catatonic state at his bedroom mirror today. So I made my way to the local hospital that Drake was admitted in to find out just what the hell had happened. Did he actually do it? That crazy motherfucker really tried to speak to it? I snapped back to the present after that small reflection, and I remembered my anger. This bitch at the desk was telling me I'm not allowed to see my injured friend. Well, I'm not having that. The lady at the desk spoke now. "Sir, please stop shouting." I saw the security guards flinch toward me, indicating imminent movement, so I backed down momentarily. The doctor came out in person. That's a shock. They actually came out in person right away for once. Apparently, my shouting at the receptionist summoned a doctor who was working on Drake. The doctor spoke to me and said, "I'm sorry, but Drake isn't allowed any visitors at this time. We've admitted him into the locked psychiatric ward for a short observational period. It shouldn't be more than a few days, but we have to play it safe because of the state we found him in. Now go home, get some rest. When we release him, we will tell him to get a hold of you. Would you like to leave us the name of his friend who came to check on him?" "Sure," I said. Stated my name, Damian Tyler, and I left the hospital. I wanted to get the hell out of there anyways. I hate those places. So I made my way back home. I kept rolling it around in my head. I remembered the past few months, the stories he had written, tracks he made, the experiences he shared with me, and his feelings. I chalked it all up to that's just my totally cool, crazy friend. That is, until I witnessed this phenomenon as well. The stranger's eyes in the mirror. I didn't obsess over it though. Sure, I was curious, but I decided I was happier not knowing. It's the way I am, happier not knowing everything, or pretending I don't know everything. Everybody is always telling me everything and I listen. I'm a sympathetic ear and an advisor, but afterward, I like to pretend I don't know. Sometimes people will pretend I don't know to spare me, I think. But sometimes they just can't help themselves, and they need to vent to me again. So then I become the shoulder to lean on, the second set of eyes to help you out once again. As was the norm, I was happier not to know about the very old and very sad eyes in the mirror. I blocked it out. I pretended that I did not see it and I went on about my life. but Drake kept bringing it up. It's like he fell under a spell from the ancient and tormented eyes. We're both witches. We're members of a coven, and we know this shit is real. We know it. It looked like Drake slowly slipped down a deep slope into a descent of madness. Madness. It was pure madness. What he was saying? I need to know what is aging those eyes. I need to know what is inside that mind. I need to know what is behind those eyes. I need to know what is inside that mind. He was becoming so messed up, but it wasn't really his fault. He was searching for help from the cosmos. He was searching for meaning in all of his misery. He's a very talented artist, and I like working on projects with him. He's so talented because he's so lost in the cosmos seeking help and salvation all the time. He says he gets inspired to become more talented in my presence, but I swear it's all him. It's just raw. It's right there, but it's just raw. But sometimes it's so fierce and ferocious. But like I said, it's because he's always way out there. He is way out there. Over the next few days, I waited to hear from him. Finally, on the 5th day, he got a hold of me. I convinced him to come hang out for a bit, so he came over. When he arrived, I saw it. In his eyes, he was now much older and much, much sadder. He's seen a lot now, though. I won't ask him about it. If he can't take it, he'll vent to me. They always do. As we were hanging out, sometimes I would notice him becoming momentarily vacant. When I brought up a shared instance we had been in, he would respond like normal afterwards, but I kind of began to wonder if there was something wrong. But as I said, I prefer not to know things, unless I have to know it. Drake had burn marks on the middle of his forearms, and wrists, and cut marks up and down his arms. Sometimes he would take extreme measures when spellcasting. I'd hope this was the case in this instance as well, because other explanations for it, they could be much worse. Something that I'm not equipped to deal with. We eventually parted for the day. Everything seemed fine, but I should have taken the hint. The flash of eyes I'd seen when he first arrived, and the other signs as well, but I didn't do that. I shook it off and pretended everything was normal, and went about my life. As Drake left, in his car window, I saw my own reflection, with the twisted sadness and aged-looking eyes. It's really not a physical malady in the reflection's eye. It's a certain sort of symbolic essence. I can't really explain it that well. They just seem to have seen so much more than you can even comprehend at the moment of a glance at one of them. In this fraction of a second glance at it, I also saw a flash. The flash I saw looked like Drake. Maybe it was a trick of the light or something, I remember thinking, but it stuck in my head. Over the past few days, I've done a lot of research. These are creatures. These things are called the doppelganger. They are a parallel version of ourselves, who prey on character flaws. They look sympathetic and intriguing from the mirrors, and you fall under their spell. Then they take you. They take your place and they trap you in the reflection, and leave you there to die slow. When I learned of this, I went to Drake's house, and I killed that son of a bitch, doppelganger, in front of his mirror. When I saw what I had done, it looked back. But Drake suddenly appeared, and slit my doppelganger's throat from its own world. Then he nodded at me, waved, and he disappeared with a flash. Being taken out of phase with his body, on our Earth, and the death of his doppelganger killed my friend Drake. I killed my friend Drake. But he saved me with one final act from beyond the grave. So I now say farewell to my friend and leave all of you with this final warning. Mirrors are windows to other realms sometimes. You see them all the time. Anywhere there's a reflective surface, there's also a window. When you look at the reflection, and for a fraction of a second, something seems off, you're catching a glance into a window. The multiverse is infinite. When you look into a window, or out of a window, you just never know what is looking back.